Hi there. Welcome to my little mini webinar on workplace bullying versus harassment. I want to help you understand the similarities and the differences between these two behaviors. Before I get started, just a little bit about me. My name is Catherine Mattice, and I have been researching and publishing and speaking and writing and talking about the topic of workplace bullying since 2004. I was the director of compliance for a nonprofit organization here in San Diego where I live. Part of that responsibility included human resources. And it was during that time that I came across the joy of working with the workplace bully. And as a human resources manager, I dealt with the organizational repercussions of this person's behavior. I was handling grievances. I was counseling people in my office. I was dealing with the turnover and having to, fix the problems that he created. I spent a lot of time speaking to my executive director about it and couldn't get much help from him. In addition to that, I too felt bullied. So not only did I experience bullying as an organization, but I experienced it as an individual. So I've experienced workplace bullying from two different perspectives simultaneously. And it was a pretty rough time. And I ended up leaving that job and moved on to bigger and better things. But it was during that time that I started getting my master's degree at San Diego State, and that's when I started studying workplace bullying. It was during graduate school. And I discovered that there are 30 years of academic research on the topic of workplace bullying from all around the globe, and that the United States is really far behind on research around the topic and also on laws around the topic of workplace bullying. So workplace bullying has gotten a lot of media attention though, and that's wonderful so that we can put a stop to it. But I've also noticed that there's some misinformation out there about harassment versus workplace bullying, and I think there's also a lot of questions around similarities and differences. So I'm hoping to answer those questions for you. So harassment is unwelcome conduct that is based on race, gender, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, disability, or genetic information. And this unwelcome conduct aimed at protected classes, that's what we call those different varieties of people. So if there's unwelcome conduct aimed at a protected class, it's unlawful if it's enduring and becomes a condition of employment, or if the unwelcome conduct is so severe or pervasive that it creates an intimidating, hostile, or abusive work environment. So that is the definition of harassment. The defining components of that definition are that it's about protected classes and that it either creates a condition of employment or that a reasonable person would find this behavior intimidating, hostile, or abusive. So that's harassment. There are a few different definitions of workplace bullying that I'm going to offer up. Because there is no law that actually prohibits workplace bullying, the definitions about workplace bullying generally come from the academic research. So these four researchers are very well known in the academic world of workplace bullying, and this is a definition that they offered up. So they say that workplace bullying is harassing, offending, socially excluding someone, or negatively affecting their work tasks. It occurs repeatedly and regularly and over a period of time. They go on to say that bullying is an escalated process in the course of which the person confronted ends up in an inferior position and becomes the target of systematic negative social acts. So this is one definition of workplace bullying. You can see that in the end, one similarity between bullying and harassment is that both are unwelcome conduct and both are pervasive. That's generally what we're talking about, that generally it's not just a one-time thing. I'm going to offer up my own definition of workplace bullying. This is one that I've developed over time. I believe that a good way to describe workplace bullying is this, that it's systematic, aggressive communication, manipulation of work, and acts aimed at humiliating or degrading one or more individual. It creates an unhealthy and unprofessional power imbalance, and it results in psychological consequences for targets and witnesses and costs enormous monetary damage to the organization's bottom line. So with my own definition, I was trying to bring in all of the different facets that go along with workplace bullying. Often definitions of workplace bullying are mostly a list of behaviors So these two definitions that I've offered up get away from that. I think these two definitions bring in more than just a focus on the behaviors. So these are nice definitions, but I wanted to break these down a little bit more and give you a little more clarity. So this is my chart that highlights the similarities and differences between illegal harassment and legal bullying. So again, the defining difference between harassment and bullying is this idea that it's a protected category, or it's about a protected category. So if a person engages in manipulation and they're yelling all the time and they're acting aggressively towards somebody who is in that list of protected classes that I gave you, that would be considered harassment, and that is illegal. And that person, the target, would have legal recourse. If somebody engages in the same behaviors, but they are equal opportunity behaviors and they're not focused on one person due to their protected class, then that behavior is legal. So the real defining characteristic between the two is that it's about a protected category. So if somebody is being bullied because of a protected category, it's illegal, that's harassment. If someone is being bullied and it's an equal opportunity kind of a scenario, then that is legal and the target would not have legal recourse. In terms of repetition, according to the law, it is not required in order for it to be harassment. So a one-time deal could be considered harassment. Now, generally, you're not finding a lot of court cases where somebody got slapped on the butt once and they were able to sue and win millions of dollars. So in some respects, repetition is required if you're going to go big on your legal case, but according to the law, it's not actually required. And so with bullying, though, we find that in most of the definitions of workplace bullying, that idea of repetition is there, and it's an important piece when describing bullying. So you'll never hear somebody talk about a definition of workplace bullying and have it not include that the behavior is repeated. In terms of the behaviors themselves, you know, the one thing that I find interesting is that with harassment, the legal definition doesn't really elaborate on the kinds of behaviors that would count as harassment. It just says if it's unwelcome behaviors and they're aimed at a protected class, then that's harassment. But a lot of definitions regarding workplace bullying do actually include a list of behaviors. So I'm interested in that, and I think it's fascinating because ultimately, harassment behaviors and bullying behaviors are the same kinds of behaviors. It's just that when they're aimed at a protected class, they're illegal. And so it's interesting that when we're defining bullying, we feel the need to talk about the behaviors and include that. I think part of it is that we've become, as a society, really focused on this whole thing about protected classes, that anything beyond that is people sometimes feel like, well, that's just incivility. You know, somebody yelling is just incivility. But the same person who says that would say, well, if they're always yelling at this person who's of a certain religion or nationality or gender or whatever, then they would know that that counts as harassment. So this whole thing of behaviors is interesting. In the end, they're ultimately relatively the same behaviors. It's not that one, you know, has a different set of things that are happening. They're the same kinds of behaviors. In terms of power imbalance, now the law that I showed you earlier, the definition, you don't see anything in there about power imbalance, but certainly the definition alludes to it. So when you're talking about behavior that a reasonable person would find intimidating, hostile, or abusive, you know, we're talking about power imbalance. So it doesn't actually say power imbalance, but we can guess that that's usually part of what's happening. In terms of bullying, usually power imbalance is indeed included in the academic definitions, and the legal definitions of bullying are similar to the definition of harassment. So there are 4 states that do have laws about workplace bullying. They don't necessarily prohibit bullying, but there is a law about bullying. those definitions also allude to it. So they say similar things that a reasonable person would consider intimidating, hostile, or abusive. And therefore, those definitions are alluding to power imbalance. But again, the academic definitions that you find really do hone in on that key piece, that there's a power imbalance. In terms of harassment, intention is not required. So as you saw, there's nothing in that definition about whether or not the person intended to harass or not. If somebody feels harassed, then they have the right to report that to Human Resources, and if they so choose, they have the right to try to get, take the legal recourse route. In terms of bullying, intention is definitely something that's up for discussion. So when you look online, if you just Google workplace bullying, and you probably have, and that's how you came to this webinar, you've probably seen a lot of things that claimed bullying was actually very intentional. And you see things like names of books where they're talking about the psychopath at work and all this kind of stuff. And so there is a strong feeling out there on the internet that bullying is indeed very intentional. Also, legal definitions of bullying include the word malice in them. So, malice essentially means intention. And so, something like the Healthy Workplace Bill that has been looked at in so many states, that definition includes malice. And so the problem with including malice in a legal definition is that if somebody was to try to take some legal recourse, because they were bullied, they would ultimately have to prove that they were bullied using this piece of intention. They'd have to prove that the behavior was intentional in order to prove that they were bullied. So that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. In the academic world, I think there's a 50-50 split. I've been to several conferences for the International Association for Workplace Bullying and Harassment. And there, this idea of intention always comes up in discussion, and you kind of hear a 50-50 conversation about it. Many academics think there is some level of intention, and many academics do not believe that there is intention. So I think personally that in the end, it doesn't really matter. I don't know why it's even up for discussion. If somebody's behavior hurts somebody else's or hurt somebody else, then who cares if they meant to or not? It needs to stop. And again, very fascinated by this, that in harassment, it doesn't matter. It's not an issue at all if something was intentional. It's just about the behavior. And I don't know why with bullying, we insist that we have to try to figure out if somebody was doing this intentionally or not. Regarding subjectivity, so or basically the target's feelings of the matter, regarding harassment, there is no focus on the harm. So it doesn't matter if targets of harassment feel harm. It doesn't matter if they were psychologically damaged. Now, in a court case, you're certainly going to get more juice in your court case if you can prove all sorts of psychological harm. In workers' comp, you're going to have to prove that you were harmed as a result of the harassment. But ultimately, harm does not equal harassment, or they're unrelated. It doesn't matter if the target feels harm or not. It still counts as harassment in terms of the definition. Regarding bullying, though, definitely a focus on the harm. So you see that in a lot of academic definitions of workplace bullying, and also the legal definitions talk about harm. So again, I don't know if it even matters. If there's inappropriate behavior happening, it needs to stop. And, the organization needs to put their foot down and put an end to it. Also, the final piece here is the perpetrator. So here is something they do have in common, that harassment can come from anybody: a vendor, a customer, a superior, a subordinate, a peer, somebody who doesn't work in your department but hangs around. Anybody can be somebody who's a harasser. And same with bullying. Now, there isn't a ton of research that supports, that vendors or customers are bullying people in the organization, but it certainly can happen. There are a lot of articles about students bullying teachers at universities, for example, so that sort of equates to a customer bullying the organizational member. But a bully can certainly be a subordinate, it can be a superior, it can be a peer. And a lot of research has found that in terms of workplace bullying, 70% of the time the bully is indeed the superior, but 30% of the time it's either the subordinate or a peer. And I think 30 is a pretty significant number. So that's quite a lot of situations out there where the bully is not necessarily the manager. And that was my situation. The person who bullied me was my direct peer, and he did bully the president, who was his superior. So hopefully this conversation is helpful. On a final note, in putting something like this together, what's interesting is I'm not comparing apples to apples, because with harassment, there's one definition, everybody agrees upon it because it's the law. With workplace bullying, there's a quadrillion definitions out there of workplace bullying, and everybody's trying to make their mark with their own definition, and that their definition is the one that should end up in the law, or that their definition is the one that's right and the one that everybody should be citing. So everyone's sort of vying for this position. So whoever wrote the definition of harassment, gets bragging rights. And I think on the academic side of workplace bullying, that's kind of where we're at. So there's a million definitions out there. My comparison here is based on my own experiences with bullying and what I know about it from all of the academic research I've read, and all of the people I've talked to along the way, and the clients I've helped. So, harassment's got a law, easy enough definition to kind of take a look at, versus bullying, where you've got a million definitions all fighting each other. So if you need any assistance with workplace bullying, I hope you'll give me a call. Here's my contact information. My book is available on Amazon and any other online bookstore. So good luck in telling